guys, how you doing? It's Tom. I'm back with another video. This one I wanted to talk about what's so great about Bohol, Philippines. Well, we've been to Bohol twice, and for about 2 weeks, I think, pretty much 2 weeks total. Um, it's really a nice place, man. It's definitely a place you want to visit. Um, some people want to live there, you know. It's very nice, and it's also pretty centrally located. You know, as far as flying into Bohol, I think you can only fly in from Manila. I don't think that Cebu flies in to Bohol. Um, However, you can take a boat to Cebu from Bohol, or vice versa. I believe it'd be the northwestern kind of port of Bohol. I believe that where you can go to Cebu from there. There's a lot to do in Bohol. We've stayed in both parts, and actually the southern Panglao Island, the southern part of Bohol, and also stayed in the main part of Bohol, which is the largest part of Bohol, kind of like the northern part or whatever, but it's a lot bigger than Panglao. There's nice beaches in Panglao. There's Alona Beach, which is a very popular tourist beach. There's Dimaluan. That's the one. We actually went to both, but we liked that one because it was less crowded. It had parking, because I rented a car. The second time I rented a car. The first time I didn't. When we were in the northern part of Bohol, and I kind of wish I did, but I didn't, because that was the first time I'd been there. But yeah, that Dimaluan. Here, I gotta let me say what it is. Yeah, Dumaluan Beach. Okay. Yeah, that's to us. We really liked it the most. Because like I said, Alona is a nice beach, but it's kind of more crowded and touristy. Dumaluan is more, like I said, accessible. At the time when we went, pre-pandemic, the parking was cheap. I think it was like 100 peso for the car. But yeah, very nice. There's a cave in Panglao also that we went to see, and Hinagdanan Cave. Okay, check it out. These are some other things to do. I just kind of took a picture of it, But we went to a lot of these places. Instead of writing it down, I just kind of took a picture of it, we took a Lobak River boat, kind of a lunch cruise thing, riverboat on the river, which was pretty cool. And like I said, we've been to both of those beaches. Chocolate Hills, we went there at least twice, once on each trip. That was pretty cool. We went to the Tarsiers Nature Preserve. Those cute little animals with the big eyes and all that. They're very rare animals. That was pretty cool as well. What else? Let me just go through this real quick. Now there's Anda Beach, okay, which is on the northern part, and it's on the east coast of Bohol. It's at least halfway up the main island, the main part of the island on the east coast. And that's a nice beach as well. That's probably the best beach on that northern part, the big island, the big part of the island. And then, of course, we did go to Chocolate Hills Adventure Park, and I think that's where we rented all-terrain vehicle, like twice, on one on each trip. That was pretty cool. But it's a little, you got to use your. It's a little bumpy. You know what I mean? You're driving it. You know know what I mean? It's not like you're sitting there and someone's driving. You know, you're driving through all these bumpy dirt roads and stuff. But it's pretty cool though. You know, if you're in decent condition, you know, you might want to try it. You know, and what else? Just a few other things, and then I'm going to just talk about like the location and stuff. There is waterfalls, and there's a butterfly garden which we went to. But there's also some falls to see there. It's really a lot of nice stuff to see in Bohol. Also, Sikatuna, the Mirrors of the World, it's called. Really cool. And when we went there, it wasn't finished yet. It was like phase 1 and 2, but they still had phase 3 that they were building. And what it is it's like they duplicate famous landmarks in other parts of the world, you know, including the U.S., but also Europe and all that. They duplicate these huge, beautiful landmarks, you know what I mean? It's pretty cool. Definitely go there. It's not easy to get to. I remember I drove there, and it was sort of like even my Google Maps, which is pretty good, kind of took us almost there. You know what I mean? We were very close, but then the Google Maps was like, I give up. There's nothing around here. There's no landmarks other than the park itself, you know, but there's no, it's like a dirt road, you know, it was kind of, it was challenging, you know. So yeah, be careful, you know, if you're driving there. I mean, you know, maybe the Waze app is probably better now. Like it might give better directions now. Like this is pre-pandemic when we went there. But it's really cool, you know, and it's finished now. All the phases I think are finished now, so that is pretty cool. And that was an unknown place, man. No one had made a video on it when we had gone to it. You know what I mean? Like there was no previous videos at that time on it. Now since then there has been a few I've seen. You know, we did one back when we were there. You know, pictures and some short videos. But yeah, that's definitely a place to check out in Bohol. And I'll tell you what, if you're thinking about renting a car or driving, and it's like the first time, especially if it's like the first time you've ever driven in the Philippines, Bohol's the place to drive. That's the place to do it. You know what I mean? That was the first place I drove, and it was a piece of cake. And I'm a pretty good driver. I mean, you know, I drove in Chicago most of my life, you know. In the city a lot, you know, also in the suburbs, but you know, I had my fair share of driving in the city as well. And so yeah, it's very easy, you know, not much traffic, you know, just really a nice drive, you know, nice driving experience basically, right? Compared to other parts of the Philippines, which there could be a lot more traffic, you know, in a lot of the other cities and islands, you know, especially Manila. So yeah, definitely, you know, I would recommend, and and if you're proficient at driving a motorcycle, that would be a great place to do it as well. You know what I mean? Even if it's your first time in the Philippines, but if you're pretty proficient at it and you drove recently in the U.S. a motorcycle, then yeah, you can definitely rent them there. They're usually pretty cheap too. They're like, well, they might be more now, but they were like 500 pesos a day, you know, which is like not even $10, like $9. But like I said, it could be more than that now, you know, but it's probably not going to be that much more, you know. So yeah, it's definitely a good place to visit. I can't think of too many drawbacks, although I will say the infrastructure is probably not great, obviously, because it's, you know, it's pretty rural of an island, you know what I mean? There's a city, you know, Tagbilaran, which is a city, you know, the city, basically, in Bohol, but it's a very small city, you know what I mean? It's right when you're leaving Panglao, you know, like it's sort of like on the southern part of the big island is Tagbilaran, and there's like I think there's one mall there, which we went to, you know. But I mean, yeah, it's, you know, it's probably got enough. You can live in the area, and then you can probably do your shopping and all that. But there's certain things that you're probably going to wind up having to go to Cebu for, like if you were living in Bohol, I'm guessing, right? Like, maybe a couple times a year at least, you might have to go somewhere else to get something that you need, like outside of just groceries or whatever, but some kind of part for something or whatever. Um, yeah, but I enjoyed it, and I'll go there. We'll go there again, you know, uh, probably more than once, in the future. Uh, but yeah, and again, good location. If you're in Cebu or I guess even Dumaguete, you could take a boat, to Bohol. But otherwise, if you're coming from Luzon or especially anywhere near Manila, you may as well just fly. It's a fast, flight. It's a short flight. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, we stayed in Panglao. We stayed at the Panglao Sea Resort, which is basically right on the water. But it's not really a beach, though. You know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't have like a beach, but it has where you can a ladder that goes down into the water, so you could swim if you want. If you're a good swimmer and stuff, you could go right into the water from there. But it was a pretty decent place. I liked it. We both liked it. They had good food. They even had Western food in their restaurant. And Filipino food. I think it was at that time it was owned by a couple of gentlemen from Germany. I think they were brothers. But yeah, it was a pretty good place, and they even could do laundry and stuff. Like if you needed if you're staying there, we were there for a week, so we had laundry. We had them do our laundry, once I think, before we left, and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty cool. I think when we were in the Northern Island on the first trip that we went to Bohol, we stayed at Kayla's Resort in Dimiao. Yeah, not bad. Again, good food, good restaurant, and on the beach. But the beach was sort of like, at that time, a lot of coconut shells. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't really the kind of beach you lay out on the sand or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but it was right on the water and on the east coast of the island. So, yeah, pretty cool though. All those attractions are really fun. And you know what? You could drive through the whole island. Like really from top to bottom, you could probably do it in one day because it's really, it's not that big of an island. It's decent size, but I mean, I think you could. It'd be a good field trip. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think you could do it. Because there's not a lot of traffic. Which is really nice. you know. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Bohol. Like I said, depending on where you're at, okay, if you're staying in I don't even want to say the northern part or whatever. It probably doesn't matter, but I guess it's all about the hotel you're staying at more than it is sort of the location on the island that you're staying at. But depending, I'll just put it this way, your internet could be spotty. You know what I mean? Like it's not, like I said, it's probably not the greatest infrastructure. I don't think we had any. There was no power outages or anything when we were there. Like both times we were there. But it's provincial. You know what I mean? It's a lot of the island. Most of the island is provincial. There's only one small city. And I will say, in some of the touristy parts, you're going to find a lot of people. A lot of tourists. Like in the Alona Beach area. Okay. But again, not much bad to say about Bohol, man. It's really a good place. I mean, I really, we both really liked it a lot, So that's about it, guys. I mean, I'm going to wrap it up on this island, and stay tuned for the next one. I think the next one's going to be Bacolod. That's the other place that I drove in. That's the second, Bohol and Bacolod are the only places I've driven a car in. Actually, SUV, car, multi-cab, or van, what we would call a van in the U.S. I rented that last year, about a year ago, we went there and that's what I rented. So it was pretty cool. So, all right, guys, stay tuned and please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you later. Guys, it's Tom. I'm back. Hey, listen, I wanted to just add this because I forgot to mention it in Bohol. Yeah, there's really no, and I don't think this has changed since I've been there, but there's no like taxis. It's kind of like Dumageddon, you know, no taxis, no grabs. Okay, there's trikes in the city area, you know, in Tagbilaran, and then other than that, there is a bus. Because I know that on the first trip we were there, when we were in the northern part of the island, or you know, northern half or whatever, the big island, we did take a bus from our resort to Tagbilaran to the mall. So they do have buses. They do have. You can generally find a private driver, right? If you ask around, you know, maybe the resort you're staying at or the hotel, they know of somebody, or they have guys on file or whatever, and they can drive. If you don't rent a car, like we didn't do, right? We didn't rent a car the first trip, right? So we actually did have to hire a private driver. Took us to all the tourist attractions and all that. So you can do the same thing, I'm sure now. Or like I said, you could rent a car, you know, and then just use like the Waze app or Google Maps on your phone, right? Just make sure your phone's charged up, you know. Most of those cars have, you know, you could plug in chargers and all that, you know, so you can keep your phone charged while you're driving. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. But I just want to let you guys know that in case you were thinking about, oh, you know, we usually do grabs and taxis, but unfortunately you won't have that option in Bohol. And you know, on the first trip when we were there, when we left Bohol, we actually took a boat to Cebu. That's how we didn't fly. You know, we flew into Bohol from Manila, but then we took a boat. It was like a 2-hour boat ride. You know, not like one of those rows, but it was more like the smaller ones with little cabin compartment and all that. You know, and it was not more than 2 hours. You know, so that's an option if you're going to go from one. You know, from Bohol to Cebu or whatever, right? Or vice versa. So, because we actually did do that. I forget how much it was, and it was pre-pandemic. It was not expensive. I know that. You know what I mean? It was pretty reasonable. So I'm sure it's still very reasonable also, you know. So, all right, guys, that's it. I just wanted to add this. All right, I'll see you later.